Hello and welcome. I just finished writing my book, AI Literacy, How to Become Irreplaceable. And after getting a few people to read it and then build their AI intelligence system, I realized that I need to show everybody how I use AI because I think it's a lot different than the way most people use it. The main problem I see is, and I did this myself, that people tend to use it the same way they use Google. It is, give me this, please find me that. And that's fine if you're just doing a search for maybe a business in your area and you're looking for which one the AI thinks is the best. But when you're building something or working on something for your business or the company you work for, you really want to approach using AI from a different perspective. And I'm calling it using AI like a CEO. And what I mean by that is, and I'm just going to use Jeff Bezos as my avatar for this because I really respect the man, not because he's a gazillionaire, but because my father, when I was very young, got me into being an entrepreneur. And he said, the customer is always the one you serve. Always focus on what the customer gets, not how much money you're making or whatever. And Jeff Bezos does the same thing. Even famously, I did some research on him, and he always had an empty chair in their board meetings because that was the customer, the representative of the customer. And everything was focused on giving the customer the best quality product, the best experience, etc. Okay, so I have built my project here, which I've been using for a long time, and it has my intelligence as the custom instructions in the project, and I prefer to use Claude. I've tried all of them, and I still keep coming back to Claude. So when I first start wanting to figure out something, I will do a brainstorm with it. Jeff Bezos doesn't walk into a boardroom meeting and say, hey, what are we doing? I need this or I need that. He goes in with a plan because he's already done preliminary research, and the idea from what I've read on his board meetings is they do the thinking in the boardroom based on a 6-page document that everybody reads before they go into the meeting. Nobody's allowed to show slides or anything like that. They go in and they do their brainstorming and they challenge the thinking. And that's kind of the way I ended up using AI. I didn't even realize what I was doing until I came to the point where people were using it with their AI intelligence system, and they were still using it like what I call a vending machine. You put something in, you get something out. Maybe you go back and forth a couple of times to try to massage it, so to speak, but they're still using it like a vending machine. So I'm going to show you in this video how I use it. And for this one, we're going to figure out how to write the best Amazon book description and create a skill that we could save, and I'll probably give it away to the book readers in the school group. So in case they are deciding they're going to write a book, they can at least figure out the best book description. Okay, so when I start using AI, I always tell it on a new chat to review the project so it knows what's going on. And then I let it know we just finished writing the book, AI Literacy, How to Become Irreplaceable. I want to work on a new skill with you that I would like to give to the people in the school group. Let me know when you're done reviewing everything and we'll get started. So I'm not asking it for anything. I'm just asking it to review where we're at. There's a ton of documents in the project, the book, how to write a book. I've got all these skills built in there. And then it comes back and tells me it's reviewed everything. Here's where we're at. Book is done. Heading to Melanie. Melanie's my book coach. The school community has the foundation extraction system to create your AI intelligence system. Plus it has the upgrade module for building add-on skills and inserting them into your custom project. It has the complete intelligence merge training system, the complete methodology outline, and the active upgrade module builder framework. So it's telling me it's ready. What skill do we want to build? All right, we're going to work on the Amazon book description. I pasted in, I want to research how to write the best possible Amazon book description. and create a framework and system. We're going to use Perplexity and a few sample books to try to figure out how to write the best book description. Let's do a quick brainstorm. Don't write anything yet. And I'm going to go ahead and just use the 3 top books that Jeff Bezos recommends. You kind of got to do some preliminary thinking. You've got to get away from the give me this, help me find that. So as I mentioned, Jeff Bezos, I'm just guessing here, probably doesn't walk into a board meeting and say, what do we got? What are we doing? He's going to do preliminary research on whatever they're trying to do, build, figure out whatever. So I'll go ahead and let Claude look at this. And Claude comes back with good calls. Here how I would approach this. The research angle is worth running through Perplexity. What Amazon actually allows in the terms of HTML formatting, because most people don't know you can bold and italicize and add line breaks. Very interesting. I did not know that. Above the fold versus below the fold. Amazon cuts the description short and hides the rest behind a read more link. So we get the first 150 to 200 characters are the only guaranteed real estate. That's where we should place our hook. What are the top selling nonfiction books in the AI and business skills categories are doing right now? Not guessing, actual patterns. I'd pick 5 to 10 books across 3 buckets. Are we building this skill just for your book? Or are we building the reusable system that everybody in the school group can use for their own book description that changes the scope? So for this, we're going to build the skill that everybody can use in this school group. So if you write a book, you'll be able to use this to help you research your book description. Then it also asks me, do we want to also look at what A+ content, the enhanced brand content below the description can do, or should we stay focused on the standard description box only? So this is something new. I've actually already went through this and wrote my book description and created a framework, but it didn't create one that I can give out to you guys. So, and I did not ever hear anything about this. So that's very interesting. We'll definitely want to take a look at that. I go ahead and let Claude know that I'm going to respond to the research angles worth running through Perplexity. And here is a good time for me to note something to you. You never want to use the same AI to do the research and assimilate it. If you do, like say we just use Claude to do all these searches, which Claude can obviously search the web, it is going to be biased to whatever it finds. If we do these searches in Perplexity and then bring the results over one at a time and let Claude assimilate it for us, then it gives 100 times better results. So that's just a little tip there. So I'm going to respond here. Number 1, what Amazon actually allows in terms of HTML formatting. Yes, let's definitely do the research on this. I don't know anything about this either, so just letting Claude know that. What are the top selling nonfiction books? And I remind him that because we're going to make a skill to help other people who read the book, let's just keep it as nonfiction and not focus on AI books or business skills books, because I have no idea if you're writing a book, what you're going to write the book about. But I want to make this a good skill that you can use to help you write your book description once you get your book written. Then, because I did some preliminary research about Amazon book description writing, we should also look at the anatomy of a high converting Amazon book description, specifically what structural elements appear consistently in business and nonfiction bestsellers. So we want to focus on bestsellers. Then I also came across the fact that Amazon has their A9 algorithm, which weighs keywords in book descriptions and how to balance search optimization with human persuasion without sounding like we stuffed in a bunch of keywords. So let's take a look at this. Notice here, I'm brainstorming back and forth with Claude. I'm not asking it to go get me this stuff. I'm doing the research. Just like I'm the CEO, I'm at the CEO level with what we're trying to build here. Doing the big thought process, if you will. Okay, 4 research angles locked in. Before we hit Perplexity, let's flag a couple things. The sample books, you said yes. Okay, so I have not given to sample books. They just reminded me here. So I went ahead and, because I'm going to use Jeff Bezos as my avatar, and I'm thinking that he probably knows books that really help people, and these are bestsellers. Okay, I actually gave the AI the wrong thing. I had to go back and get the 3 book titles and descriptions, and now it says good stuff. I now have something to work with. Here's what I'm seeing across all 3 before we write the prompts. Here again, I'm still brainstorming with the AI. I'm not telling it to go out and create this thing or write these prompts. I'm doing the deep research and the big high-level thinking. By the way, you'll notice here too that I don't really ever use prompts. The only time I ever want prompts is if I need to do some kind of research. Other than that, I rarely prompt AI, other than maybe I need to find the best chiropractor near me or something like that. Then obviously I would prompt it just for a simple, Google search on steroids, as Claude reminds me that I'm doing sometimes. Even I end up slipping back to vending machine mode once in a while. But what I'm trying to instill in your brain here is that we want to always be the CEO, think like the CEO, brainstorm with our team. Claude project or your Chat GPT, Custom GPT, or your Gemini Gem is your team, and you want to brainstorm and try to get the best information possible before you try to create the deliverable. All right, so back to this. All 3 lead with credibility, signals, not the book's content. All 3 use a core question as the hinge point. What makes the truly exceptional companies different? What do most companies miss out on? New waves of innovation? What makes an effective executive? The question creates gap the reader needs closed. So here it's telling us we're going to want to create a gap that the reader wants to close. Kind of like the soap opera effect. They always leave a chiller at the end so that makes you want to tune into the next week's episode. Only one of the 3 actually lists what we'll learn. The other 2 stay in narrative mode. That's worth testing in our research, because the conventional advice is always list the benefits. These bestsellers mostly don't. So see, something very interesting. We're finding out something interesting here. None of them sound like Amazon book descriptions. They read like back of the book jacket copy. That might be intentional. By the way, one of my readers wrote this really interesting quote for my book, which Claude remembers and then keeps bringing back. And because I don't want to leave you guys hanging, here is Linda's testimony that she emailed me. She said, this is next level usage that even experts are not sharing. I suspect it is because they either really don't know or they intend to charge big fees to teach what they know. So that I thought was a really interesting, and I'm not going to lie, that kind of made me smile reading that. So anyways, back to what we're reviewing here. Okay, I guess in my first prompt, I pasted in Linda's quote. This is from the other thing. He says he likes the instinct, but how much credibility is it because she's a beta reader that nobody really knows? But even experts are not sharing as a strong hook line because it implies insider knowledge. We're testing, blah, blah, blah. One thing still missing from our research plan. We don't have a research angle on what makes people click read more. That's the conversion micro moment. The above the fold hook is a separate skill from the full description. We may want to add that as number 5. So you can see here, just doing a little brainstorming with my team, it's coming up with ideas to throw back at me that, hey, we might want to do this. And I will say something along the lines of, so here is the back response to Claude. Yes, I agree with everything we've covered here, and your number 5 angle is very good. Go ahead and please write the Perplexity prompts, and we'll do some research and see what we can come up with. And I'll send that to Claude. Okay, Claude is done writing the 5 prompts for Perplexity. And please note that it wrote it in an artifact. In case you're not familiar with Claude, this document on the right-hand side is an artifact. I have it drilled into the custom instructions that if Claude needs to respond more than 2 or 3 sentences, it always responds in an artifact. And I do that so that the chat lasts long. You can see our chat's not filled up with a ton of stuff. If you don't tell Claude to do that, or even one of your other AIs, if you're using a different one, it can fill up the chat really quickly, and we don't want to do that. So it has written the 5 prompts here inside of an artifact. very nice feature with Claude is it makes a little thing. I can just click copy here. Now I've copied this prompt and I can just paste it into Perplexity. So what I'm going to do is run all 5 of these into Perplexity. And then as I put them back into Claude, I'll kind of show you what I do. I ran all 5 of the Perplexity prompts, and each of the results, I go ahead and create a text file as shown. Depending on what I'm researching, I'll typically only paste in 1 or 2 at a time. This time it's kind of small, the results, so I'm going to give Claude the first 2, let it analyze it, and then I'll give it the next 3 in one batch. So as an example, Claude, here are the first 2 of 5 results for you to review. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll give you the next 3 in one batch, and then you can write out your summary of what you're seeing before doing the framework. So let's do a little more brainstorming. After I give you all 5, I want to see what you're seeing. So I still, as the CEO, want to see what it's seeing rather than just say, give me the Snickers bar. Here is the results from Claude after the first 2. It makes a note that one thing that's jumping out, the 3 sample books we looked at, actually breaks several of the best practices. They lead with credibility and awards instead of reader benefits. That's not a contradiction, it's a clue. These books were written by famous authors with massive brand recognition. The rules are different when the reader already knows who you are. For the first time or lesser known nonfiction authors, the research is clear. Hook and benefit first, credibility second. So see, we're learning something here as we're talking with our assistant. We're analyzing stuff and not just going for the payoff immediately as fast as we can get it. I'm going to give it the next 3 and then we'll see what it says. I have the 3 files loaded up, letting Claude know here are the final 3. I look forward to his comments in the chat before we read out the framework. To keep the chat going longer, as I mentioned earlier, I also mentioned to it, if you need to go long with your comments, please put them in an artifact, meaning create another doc, fresh one here on the side. So we'll send these to Claude and see what he does. Okay, Claude is done summarizing the 5 results from our prompts. And something interesting that I did not see the first time I did this is it's saying that Amazon bans testimonial quotes in descriptions. So I cannot put Linda's quote in the HTML description field. So that's good to know. That's something I may have messed up on when I go to publish my book here shortly. It wrote out its ideas and summary in a fresh artifact. The big picture, the research is remarkably consistent across all 5 angles. That's good because it means we're not dealing with conflicting advice. We're dealing with a clear set of principles that most authors ignore. The description is a sales page, not a summary. Above the fold is everything. Hook before credibility always. There's a conflicting data point on length that we need to resolve. I did look this up and it is 4,000 characters is the maximum that Amazon allows for a book description. Amazon bans testimonials, which we just covered. Keywords matter, but conversions matter more. The A9 algorithm indexes the description for search relevance, but the title and subtitle carry the most weight. So that's interesting to know. You can see here as we're doing this research, we're not only learning a lot, but we're going to eventually build something that's probably 80 to 90% good to run through any book and help write a book description without having to guess or do all this research by hand or trying to do it with a Google search. We're being the CEO and we're brainstorming with our team, which our team is just one AI, but you get the point. The practical keyword formula is simple, 2 to 3 natural appearances, hook, mid-body CTA, secondary phrases, 1 to 2 appearances each. Very interesting. What makes people click away list is gold. 5 things that kill conversions, no clarity in the first 2 or 4 lines, boring or academic tone, poor readability, author-focused copy instead of reader-focused copy, and no differentiation or CTA. Very interesting. Keep this in mind if you're publishing a book and you want the best tips for publishing your book and writing your description. Most first-time authors either skip HTML entirely or break it. The allowed tags are simple, bold, italic, underlines, paragraphs, and headings. and lists. Okay? A/B testing is manual and slow, but the hook is always the first thing to test. So very, very interesting on all that. That's some good information. 3 tensions worth discussing: famous authors, rules versus everyone else. So the framework needs to acknowledge this explicitly. If nobody knows who you are, you follow the hook first rule structure. If you're already a known name, you have more flexibility. Very good to know, and that's probably something we could have figured out ourselves just by thinking about it a little bit. Amazon bans review quotes. We gotta make sure we don't do that. Short and punchy versus detailed and comprehensive. The data shows both work depending on how the description is structured. The framework should probably define a minimum 200 words and a recommended range of 300 to 500 with bullets and formatting. That sounds logical to me. It kind of gives a synopsis of the framework. You can pause the video here and read these if you want. See, now it's wanting to come back and do a little more brainstorming. So 2 questions before we build. Do we want the framework to include worked example using your book, or should it stay generic so anyone in the school group can use it without needing to reverse engineer your specific description? The research surface A+ content. The enhanced brand content below the description as the place where social proof, testimonials, and visual storytelling live. Do you want to include the A+ content section in this framework? And I say yes, that we do that. I'm getting ready to respond to Claude on that. Question 1, I told it, let's use an example of my book, but keep it as a separate document. That way it can just be used as extra context. We don't want the framework to revolve around my book description. That way, if you guys are in the school group and use this skill, it just adds a little extra context, because we don't want it to treat my description as full gospel and writing other people's descriptions. Just use it as a little extra context. Question 2, as far as the enhanced brand content below the description, I think that's a genius idea. Let me know if you have enough context to include it in our master framework, or if we should do a little more research in Perplexity. And then, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I went ahead and let it know I did research, and a maximum of 400 characters in the Kindle Direct Publishing for the book description, so it knows that's the guideline. We'll go ahead and send this to Claude and see what he says. Okay, so I'm going to show you where the secret sauce really comes in when you use AI like you're the CEO. So remember, I asked it if we have enough context for it to give us the framework on the A+ content below the description. And look, it tells us we don't have enough. Instead of just assuming, because it's AI and supposedly knows everything, it doesn't. And we need to really give it the context so that it can build the best skill possible that you guys can use. So it says, it mentions that a handful of times is where the social proof and testimonials belong, but we have 0 specifics. There's the key. On what modules are available, whether KDP authors get access, image specs, best practices, blah, blah, blah. We need one more Perplexity run before we build. Run this one back, paste the results. Once we have it, we have all 6 angles covered and we can build. Also, good catch, confirming the 4,000 character limit. So you can see here, I'm thinking like the CEO and I'm guiding the AI along. It's my assistant doing all this massive assimilation and summarizing and thinking that I don't have to think. It gives me the ideas so I can do the top level thinking as we're building out this custom skill to write Amazon book descriptions. So I'm going to run this one prompt it wrote, which is huge, in a fresh artifact, so it's not using up all of our chat so quickly. And when we come back, we'll take a look at what it says. Perplexity is done. I created the 6th text file with the results, and I'm going to give it to Claude and let him know I'm excited to see what he comes up with. Okay, we're back. Claude is done synthesizing prompt 6, and interesting, in its quick summary here, it says Linda's quote cannot go in it, the A+ content either. Only public figures or well-known publications qualify. I mapped out where it can go instead. So very interesting. Second, there's a question at the bottom, which he means the bottom of the artifact over here, which we'll look at here in a second. Should the framework include an AI prompt that users paste into their clone to generate a first draft using the framework's principles? That turns this from a reference document into an intelligence merge skill. Your call before I start building. And obviously I do want to create this as an intelligence merge skill. I guess I didn't define that well enough when we started this, so very interesting. Claude is researching with me and collaborating and brainstorming and reminding me of everything where we're at. This is the true secret sauce to using AI that will, in my opinion, it blows my mind almost every day. So let's take a quick scan of the artifact document. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you want to read it, you can pause the video. I will leave these in the school group along with the book writing skill in the classroom. If you want to download everything, you can join the school group. Okay, so A+ content research synthesis. The A+ content research fills the last gap, so good. We're getting the context we need to really make this a banger. We now have a complete picture of the two surfaces that sell nonfiction books, the HTML description and the A+ content strip. They serve different functions and follow different rules, so very interesting. Our 4,000 character limit includes the HTML tags, so people reading it won't see the tags, but it does eat up our 4,000 character limit, so that's interesting to know. Text only with basic formatting. 2 or 3 sentences above the read more, no testimonials, which we kind of covered all this. A+ content, image and text modules free for all KDP authors, that's good. Appears in from the publisher section below the description. On mobile surfaces earlier, often right under the cover and price area. Very interesting. Up to 4 endowment quotes allowed, but only from well-known publications or public figures. We already covered that. No customer reviews, no anonymous testimonials, no pricing language. Primary job, reinforce authority, show the framework visually, reduce buyer hesitation. Reported 3 to 10% conversion lift, up to 20% in some cases. Very interesting. Okay, we got the Linda quote. I'll just pause this here if you want to read it. Go down a little bit. Okay. What the A+ content should include. Hero panel for the core promise. 3-block strip, problem, solution, proof, framework snapshot, authority strip, comparison module, mobile first design rules. I agree with that 100%. I'm going to guess that probably 80% of people looking to buy a book on Amazon are probably on a phone, probably a little less than a local service business gets on their website, but I'm going to put in my head it's probably 80%. Though we could look it up if we wanted to, but I'm just going to use 80%. What's allowed and what's not. Endorsements from public figures or publications, yes. No anonymous quotes. No time-sensitive claims. No URL, got it. JPEG or PNG, RGB only. Minimum 300 by 300. Recommended 600 by 600, 72 DPI. 2 to 3 megabytes per image. The description hooks and converts with words. A+ content reinforces and reassures with visuals. They tell the same story in different formats. That's something I'm definitely going to want to look into and go deeper on. Updated framework architecture, the rules, the HTML description, the content framework, the quality checklist, common mistakes to avoid, A/B testing protocol, with the hook being the first to test. That makes total sense to me. Having done a little copywriting in my day. Okay, should the framework include a step-by-step walkthrough prompt? And I'm going to say yes, make it very easy for you guys and for me in the future. Let's do it step by step. That way we don't miss anything. That would make this a true intelligence merge skill. The framework teaches the principles and the prompts puts the principles into action. Okay, we're back. I'm going to respond to the question here at the end. We definitely want the writing skills, should definitely do it step by step. It should always encourage the user to give any extra content and possibly do some brainstorming as they go through the steps to draw out the best idea and potential things that are missed after the person drops their entire book into the chat for synthesis on writing the best Amazon description. So I've learned this. As I mentioned above, they're going to need to, for the best results, drop in their complete book into the prompt or as a project file if they're creating a project file for this Amazon book writing description. And then one thing I've noted and learned, because I've actually rewritten my book a few times, is that they're going to want to convert the book from PDF to plain text, because Claude does struggle reading PDFs, especially when it's over 50 or so pages. So you'll want to copy your entire book from the PDF and just save it as a big plain text file, dump it in the chat, and we should be good to go. I'm going to send this off to Claude and we'll see what we get. Okay, we're back. Claude says good direction. Let me confirm what I'm about to build so we're aligned. Here again, we're still working as the CEO and thinking as the CEO, and we want to really boil this down and make sure that Claude gives us the best deliverable. I want the gold-plated Snickers bar, if you will. Okay, the deliverable is a single complete document that a school community member drops in a Claude project. It contains the step-by-step instructions and the knowledge base in one file. The user also drops their complete book in as a plain text in the same project. The skill walks them through the entire process interactively, brainstorming at each step, asking probing questions to draw out what the AI might miss from just reading the book, and produce a finished HTML description plus an A+ content plan at the end. I'll include the plain text file recommendation with the specific note. This is going to be a substantial build. Give me a minute. Okay, so I should have told Claude not to build. Let's take a look at it one more time. That's my fault, because I actually want the final deliverable to be 2 files. One will be the project files they upload, and then the other will be the little text blurb that you'll add to your AI intelligence clone in the project, so it tells it that the upgraded skill is there. But we'll do that after it writes it, not a problem. We'll let it finish writing it, and then we'll just do a quick little change there, and it'll create the 2 files. So we'll be back here in a minute when Claude's done. Okay, Claude is done. That's the complete skill. 13 steps from book upload through final delivery. Each step brainstorms with the user and asks probing questions to draw out what the AI would miss on its own. Includes the full Amazon rules reference, the A+ content planning system, the quality checklist, and common mistakes list as built-in guardrails. Take a pass through it. I want you to know how that feels, what's missing, and whether the brainstorming prompts at each step are asking the right questions for your audience. And by the way, in case you're wondering what Build Don't Scroll is, that was the movement I was kind of trying to start, as because I've discovered this way to be the CEO when you use AI. I kind of don't use social media that much anymore and stopped doing any kind of doom scrolling. But I think that the overall thought of this is learn to use AI like a CEO is probably a little more powerful than Build Don't Scroll. So okay, so this thing is really long. I'm not going to walk through it with you. If you're in a school group, you can download it and use it. I am going to have it pull out the blurb to add to the custom instructions. So I'll do that real quick so you can see that. So I'm going to ask Claude, this looks amazing, if you could pull out the blurb to add to the custom instructions underneath the add-on skills, which will make it so that you can just add the sentence or 2 into your skills file, that when you make your AI intelligence system, which is basically custom instructions of how you think, you can add it to the upgrade area. I'm having you do this because I'm assuming somebody will create a book writing and publishing project using their AI intelligence system, and they'll want to keep all the book stuff in one place, and we want to make it easy for the user. Okay, Claude came back and says clean and ready to paste. The user drops a snippet into their custom instructions, uploads the skill document, and their book is plain text in the same project, and the system activates the moment they ask for help with their Amazon description. 2 files, 1 project, everything in one place for the book writing and publishing workflow. One last thing, we always want to double check, and I'm not sure if it pulled out the snippet that it originally told me it put into the project files, so I just want to verify that it did really quick. You always want to double check everything, kind of keep a running mental note of things that you're writing and how they should turn out at the end. Claude says, good instinct to check, you're clean. Main skill document has no custom instructions snippet in it. Contains only the setup instructions, the AI operating instructions, the 13-step process, the Amazon rules reference, the common mistakes list, and the research foundation credit. Snippet lives only in a separate file, no duplication. Okay, so there you have it. That is the first video I've made on how I think when I use my AI intelligence system and how I brainstorm with my AI of choice, Claude, as the CEO, rather than just using AI like a vending machine, as I'm afraid the majority of people do, and then they just accept whatever comes out. I can guarantee you that there is no way somebody could have written a good a skill as this by just using it like the vending machine, which I keep harping on, but trust me, it took me a long time to get out of the habit. And once you get to using AI like this, which I've even seen the guy from Anthropic, I think is the head of their usage department or marketing department, he talks about using Claude as a brainstorming partner rather than, he doesn't say vending machine, but that's what he's saying, but he never alludes to how to do it. And if you're curious about how to do that, the link in the description will take you to either the book, which hasn't been published as of the day I'm making this video, so you can just sign up to the email list, and first buyers of the book get the complete book and everything I'm showing here and the complete system to extract your intelligence into AI for just 99 cents. If you're seeing this video down the road and the book is a little more expensive, don't worry, you're getting an insane deal, because probably at some point I will charge people $1,000 to help them extract their intelligence, get it into AI, and be able to build stuff like this and use AI like a CEO. I appreciate you watching. I look forward to any comments. Have a great day.